have walked into homes that would make your stomach turn. Homes filled with filth, neglect, and the very worst that human beings are capable of doing to one another. After more than a decade as a county social worker, I thought nothing could shake me anymore. Then I drove to the end of a dirt road surrounded by trees, and I met something that was wearing a human face, but was not human at all. If you are watching this right now, drop a comment below and tell me where in the world you are watching from. I want to know. And if you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button right now and join the Mr. DarkWhisper family. You are going to want to stay for this one. My name does not matter. What matters is what I do. I am a county social worker in Adult Protective Services. My entire job is stepping into situations that everyone else has already decided to ignore. Severe neglect, extreme hoarding, cognitive decline, financial exploitation. When an elderly person has a steady pension and a fully paid-off home, the worst corners of human nature have a way of crawling out into the open. My profession taught me one invaluable lesson above all others. Trust your instincts. The moment your gut tells you something is wrong, it already is. The file landed on my desk on a late Tuesday afternoon. An anonymous tip from a concerned neighbor. The details were brief, but immediately alarming. An elderly widow, living entirely alone on the far edge of the county line, had not been seen outside her home in nearly 6 months. She used to tend a large vegetable garden in her front yard. It had been completely swallowed by weeds and briars. The neighbor reported that her monthly pension checks were still being cashed at the local bank, deposited by a younger man claiming to be her grandson, and occasionally by a woman claiming to be her daughter. According to county records, this woman had no living children. Her only daughter had died decades ago. She had no grandchildren. I printed the documents, grabbed my clipboard, and got in my car. The drive took nearly an hour. The town gave way slowly to sparse rural land, which eventually gave way to dense, heavy forest. The road narrowed into a cracked, unpaved dirt path. The trees grew so close to the shoulder that their branches locked together overhead, swallowing most of the late afternoon light. The house sat at the very end of that path, just feet from the tree line. The forest seemed to lean over the property, draping long, dark shadows across the rotting boards of the front porch. The garden was dead, completely choked out. I parked in the gravel driveway, cut the engine, and sat there for a moment in total silence. No birds, no wind. The air was heavy and completely still, like the entire forest was holding its breath around me. I stepped out of the car, walked to the front porch, raised my fist, and knocked firmly. I announced my name, my title, and the agency I worked for. I waited a full minute. Nothing moved inside. I raised my hand to knock again, and the door swung open smoothly before my knuckles could touch the wood. Standing in the doorway were two people, a woman who appeared to be in her mid-40s and a young man who looked to be in his early 20s. Both were dressed in clean, pressed, casual clothing. The woman wore a floral blouse and neat slacks. The young man wore a plain gray sweater and dark jeans. At first glance, they looked completely ordinary. But the instant I laid eyes on them, a cold, primal alarm fired somewhere deep in my brain. My body registered that something was deeply wrong before my mind could catch up and name it. It was their posture. They stood perfectly side by side, completely straight, with their arms hanging entirely limp at their sides. They were not leaning, not shifting their weight, not blinking at their normal rate. They were utterly, unnaturally still, like two mannequins that had been positioned carefully in a doorway by someone else. I kept my voice steady. I told them I was there to conduct a wellness check and asked if I could come in. The woman smiled and repeated my exact sentence back to me, word for word, with the flat cadence of someone reading text they did not understand. The young man told me they were the family the grandson and the daughter, that they provided excellent care. I told them firmly that standard procedure required me to speak with the homeowner directly and privately. I took a deliberate step forward. Every person I have ever visited in this job takes an instinctive half-step backward when you do that. These two did not move a single inch. They held their position like statues. I told them that if they refused to allow me access, I would return with law enforcement. They turned their heads slowly and looked at each other, then back at me. "You may speak with her," the grandson said. They stepped backward in perfect, identical unison. The inside of the house was clean, but it was the kind of clean that felt deeply wrong. Sterile, no clutter, no mail, no photographs, no trace of a real human life. It looked like a room on display, not a place where someone lived. The daughter pointed a stiff finger down a narrow hallway toward the bedroom. I walked with my back close to the wall the entire way, keeping them in my peripheral vision. They stayed in the living room and watched me go without a single word. I pushed the bedroom door open. The curtains were completely drawn. A small bedside lamp was the only light in the room, and lying in the center of the bed was the elderly woman. My breath stopped in my throat. She was severely emaciated. Her skin was paper-thin and stretched tight across her bones, mottled with dark bruising. She looked so fragile that I was afraid to breathe too hard near her. Her eyes were wide and sunken, darting frantically around the room like a trapped animal searching for a way out. I stepped inside and pressed the door shut behind me, engaging the small push-button lock on the knob. Flimsy. But it bought me a moment. I went to her bedside and whispered that I was a county social worker and that I was there to make sure she was safe. Her chest heaved with short, rapid breaths. She opened her mouth and only a dry, rasping sound came out. Then she raised one trembling, bruised hand and pointed weakly at my clipboard. I unclipped the stack of blank forms, held them out with my pen. She grabbed it with a desperate grip and pressed the ballpoint to the paper so hard the ink tore straight through the top sheet. She wrote fast. Then she dropped the pen and pushed the clipboard back against my chest. I looked down at the paper. Jagged, frantic letters. One sentence. "They are my family. They came from the woods." A hard knock slammed against the bedroom door. The daughter's voice came from directly the other side of the wood. So close it sounded like her lips were pressed against it. "Is the wellness check complete?" I told them we needed a few more minutes and were still completing paperwork. The grandson's voice came through next. "She is tired. She needs to rest. You must leave the bedroom now." The brass doorknob turned slowly, hit the lock, and stopped. The silence that followed was total. Then the knob twisted violently in the opposite direction. The metal rattled hard against the frame. They were testing it. "Open the door," the daughter said. The pleasant tone was completely gone from her voice. "We provide excellent care. You must leave." Heavy thuds began slamming against the door panel. The thin wood bowed inward with every blow. I knew that if that door opened, neither I nor the old woman would leave that house. I spotted the sash window across the room. I ran to it, grabbed the old brass latches, slammed the heel of my hand against the painted frame, and hauled the lower pane upward with everything I had. It ground open with a loud groan. The door cracked behind me, a long splinter splitting down the center of the panel. I ran back to the bed, told her to hold on and not make a sound, slid my arms under her, and lifted. She weighed almost nothing. I carried her to the window, ducked through the frame, and dropped into the overgrown front yard. The impact hit my knees hard, but I kept my footing. I ran for the car, hit the key fob, threw open the rear door, set her carefully in the back seat, got behind the wheel, turned the key, and floored the gas in reverse. I swung the car around onto the dirt road and accelerated hard. The trees blurred past both windows. I checked the mirror constantly. The house shrank behind me. The two figures on the porch had not moved. I exhaled for the first time in what felt like minutes. Then movement in the mirror caught my eye. High up in the canopy, 40 feet above the road, the grandson appeared on the branch of a massive oak. He bent his knees and he jumped. The jump was physically impossible. He crossed the distance in the air, faster than my accelerating car, and landed on the asphalt directly in front of my hood. The impact should have destroyed his legs. He landed perfectly on both feet. A second later, the daughter dropped from the canopy beside him. Same landing, no stumble, no sound. They stood shoulder to shoulder in the center of the road, blocking it completely. I hit the brakes with both feet. The car skidded and stopped less than 10 feet from them. They had not even flinched. The smiles were gone now. They walked to my door. The daughter tapped her knuckles gently on the window. I lowered it 2 inches. The grandson brought his eyes level with the gap and told me to leave the old woman, that she belonged to them, and that if I did not open the doors and walk away, they would kill me. He said it the way you would state the weather forecast. The daughter added that the police would not matter, that normal humans stood no chance against what they called alpha humans, that they could pull me through the glass, break every bone in my body, and that if they left me alive, no one would ever believe what I had seen. They were right about that last part. I pointed to the dash camera mounted behind my rearview mirror. Wide angle, high definition, recording since I had pulled into the driveway. I told them the camera did not store footage locally, that it streamed a live encrypted feed directly to the county government server, that the footage was already there, already saved, that when I failed to check in, my supervisor would pull the feed and send people far above the level of local law enforcement. People with laboratories and questions they would spend years trying to answer. The two of them looked at each other for the first time with something other than certainty in their expressions. I offered them a deal. Let us go. In exchange, I would go directly to the county office and delete the footage from the server permanently. No police, no investigation. They go back to the woods, and nobody ever comes looking. The daughter stared at me for a long moment. Then, "You will erase the record." "I will," I said. The grandson stepped back. They accepted. And then they simply leaped straight up into the canopy and disappeared without a sound. I drove to the hospital. I carried her through the emergency room doors and handed her to the medical staff. Then I drove to my office, told the IT administrator there was a critical privacy violation on the server involving unclothed footage from my dash camera, and watched him panic and hand me the keyboard. I deleted the file from the network exactly as I had promised. But I had already saved a copy to my encrypted flash drive before I pressed delete. I am writing this from my locked apartment with every light on. If they are watching this, and I believe they are, I want them to understand something clearly. I kept the video. I kept the address. And if I ever see either of them standing at the edge of a tree line near my home, or if another vulnerable person in this county goes missing, I will release everything to every platform on this planet. Stay in the woods. If this story got into your head, you are in the right place. Comment below and tell me where in the world you are watching from. I read every single one. And if you have not subscribed to Mr. DarkWhisper yet, hit that button right now. New stories drop regularly, and trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming next. Like this video if it kept you up. Share it with someone who thinks they are not afraid of anything. And I will see you in the dark.